More prompt than Aubameyang going to the North London derby. Welcome, boys and girls. It's another live edition of the Highbury Squad. And boy, do we have a treat for you today. Let's go. Good evening, boys and girls, and welcome to another live edition of the Highbury Squad. If you're as hot as me, you should be out under a tree sipping wine or doing something. If you're as hot as Jordan and Jarrett-Bryan, maybe you're just hot, period. Welcome back to the show, my friend.
How are you?
I'm sweating like...
Apart from being hot, yeah.
I wore a shirt. What an idiot.
Oh, that's a bad, that's an error, that is. That's an error.
A really bad move. Welcome back. How you doing? How's your summer going?
Really well so far. I just saw your opening slate that had Channel 40's reporter and Euro 2020 Music Man.
Yeah, that's our second guest. That's our second
sorry.
guest.
Okay, sorry. So I was thinking about the Music Man.
No. I was trying to be really, what's the word? Efficient.
Okay, with the word. Okay, now it makes sense. I was thinking, I like music, but okay. No, I'm good. I'm very well, thank you. I'm hot.
Excellent.
But I'm good, thank you.
Excellent. I saw you before the Euros. You posted a picture somewhere glamorously beautiful, and you were torturing some of your colleagues. Where were you? Were you in Goa or Mauritius? Was that a while back? Or no?
Oh, yes, I had a holiday. I was in Uganda.
Uganda,
yeah. So I was
we have a few listeners from Uganda.
Big up them.
Yeah,
I did Uganda.
I would
Tanzania,
love to go.
And Uganda, Tanzania, and Zanzibar.
Have you been before? Yeah. What was that like?
No, it was my first time there. It was amazing. Uganda is so cool.
Wow.
So cool. Lovely people, really calm people, almost unnervingly calm, like almost too calm. Lovely people, lovely country, hot as this, if not hotter. Yeah, I had a great time. Loved it. Big up Uganda.
And Terence is in the house, and he's from Uganda.
Hey!
Told you we do not. We do have a large listenership in Africa, and we love that.
Nice.
Yeah, so many great people from around the world listening, and it would be remiss of me not to welcome them all. Hello, squaddies. Welcome back to the show. We were talking about penguins yesterday. Someone asked if penguins have knees. Do you know? Did you? I had no idea. I would have said no, but apparently the answer is yes, Jordan.
I'm not so sure I believe that. I mean, is that factually correct? I'm not sure they do have knees.
Well, Ask said it is.
Yeah.
Where is it? They evolved from bird ancestors about 70 million years ago. He wanted to come back to this early in the show. So I had to post it for him. Bless him. He always comes on and asks, he always says at the very top of the show, who wants to talk science on a sports podcast? So we kind of love that very much. So Jeff Bezos went to space today, and today is the 52nd year anniversary of the moon landings. So I wanted to ask you a non-football question to start off with. Number one, are you a conspiracy theorist? Do you believe someone landed on the moon? And Jeff Bezos' fortune just probably, increased by another gazillion dollars because he went up and came down safely. So what's your thoughts on all of that?
A conspiracy theorist on this? No, I do believe it. I do believe someone has been to the moon. But this is actually quite timely because tomorrow I'm going up to Lincoln, which is a part of the country here, because I'm doing a piece next week about a para athlete going into space, or they're attempting to. So I'm going tomorrow because I'm going to, as part of the piece, I'm going to be going to this place in Lincoln, this like space center, in full costume, as if I'm going. So this is really timely. Because, and tomorrow I'm doing that. They've got to do like a tester, like a health check, medical, all of that tomorrow. I'm really excited about it. I've got to catch a train at like 7 in the morning to head up there. But so I'm not really into space and that sort of. I'm not into it at all. But I'm really into this. I'm really like quite excited about the idea of putting on the costume and being in this like fake space thing they've got kind of created. I can't wait.
I love this. So this is an athlete going.
So yeah, they want to see if they can send a disabled person to the moon, basically, and they're going to trial it with their kind of like a pseudo space setup sort of thing with a para athlete. ahead of the Paralympics. And so I'm doing a piece on it for Channel 4 News. And so my producer was like, it'd be a really good idea. Well, why don't you try it as well, Jordan? And I was like, actually, go on then.
I love it. Wow, I can't wait to see that.
Yeah,
That's
I'll let you know when
so
it's
awesome. What an amazing experience. You do a lot of cool stuff like that for Channel 4. Is that for Channel 4, right?
Channel 4, yeah. We'll be out in a couple of weeks. So
brilliant.
Yeah, I'll let you
all
know
right.
how it goes.
Well, you have to keep me posted.
I will.
Send pics. I'm sure you'll post them and stuff.
Yeah, I will do. Don't worry about that.
All right. And do you believe that someone did land on the moon?
I do. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I don't have any reason to disbelieve it, so I guess I believe it.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Speaking of the moon, we're shooting for the moon this season, Jordan, but we have to land on the stars first. 2 signings, Nuno Tavares and Lokonga. You could argue, in terms of the types of players that we've signed over the last few seasons, kind of exciting, unproven, of course. Neither have played in the Premier League. One comes highly recommended from Vincent Kompany. Vincent Kompany made Lokonga captain at Anderlecht. That, to me, comes with a stamp of approval from a legendary player. And Mikel Arteta's relationship with Vincent helped in that one. And Tavares made a great debut, but it's only pre-season. And then pre-season. What's your take on pre-season, firstly? Do you think it matters? If it doesn't matter, why do we even bother with it? What's your take?
I think it has to matter to some degree, because as you say, otherwise just wait until the season starts and then kick off then. I think it's all about, as a club and as a manager, what you want to get out of it. So for some clubs, it's about working out fitness. I think for most people, it's about just getting everybody up to match speed. Cool, fine, no problem. I think athletes that these days are so fit anyway, even a month off during the off season, they only dip 10%. The days of coming back 10 stone overweight and having to, needing 2 months, them days are gone. So I think most athletes now can pretty much play throughout the whole year. So I don't think there's so much, especially with the Euros just finishing recently, a month off. The likes of Saka or the likes of Xhaka, if he's still at Arsenal, their fitness levels won't have dipped that much. So I think the first thing is fitness, if indeed you need it. But the second thing, I think, is for the manager to experiment and really try to put into play what his vision and what's in his head. Try formations. Actually, can you play right back and left back? Or are you better as a deep line playmaker? Or do you need to be, just experiment and try certain things? I don't think results are that important. And I think that if you look at teams that have won leagues over the years, often they've had a really bad preseason, and conversely, Arsenal had some amazing preseasons and finished 5th, and not done very well. So I don't think you can put too much emphasis on results. But for me, I look at Mikel Arteta and think to myself, okay, what is it you're trying to do? Show me, either experiment completely and every single game try a different formation, and I can see, okay, he's throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks, or the opposite, stick to one formation, and even if you lose, at least then I can see he's trying to go 4-2-3-1 and iron out the kinks, and do you know what I mean? Familiarizing players with it. So I think it's about a manager's intent on experimenting with players, but also working out, I want to play this formation. Let's try and test it out now.
Yeah. Would you agree that this is really going to be the huge test for him in terms of starting a season with a complete team in his image versus what he's inherited? He's still going to have some of those kind of residual players from the Wenger era, perhaps, and Unai Emery. But he's also responsible for buying maybe some dross or bringing in someone like Willian, who clearly wasn't ready to play for the Arsenal, just unhappy. In the end, I think Willian was just so unhappy at Arsenal. You talk about overweight, everyone's talking that he wore a vest now, but that just didn't work out. Do you think it's fair to say this is it for him? Or Tuchel inherited a team of no players that he brought in and was able to go on and win the Champions League, lost an FA Cup final. What's your take on that with regards to Arteta?
He's got 10 games. He's got 10 games, Sophie. Yeah, and you won't find a bigger Arteta supporter than me. I've backed him this whole process, even at times when even I, if I'm honest, was a bit like, oh, I'm defending the undefensible here. 15th is undefendable. Finishing 8th, 13 losses. That is undefendable. That is unacceptable. But I still back him. He has to start the season on fire. I think he's got 10 games. If he doesn't start the season, that first 10 games well, I think he'll be gone. Let's not forget the fans are back in the ground as well. So if it goes really badly wrong early, the fans, you know what our fan base is like. It doesn't take much for them to kind of turn. Regarding the players, I actually think maybe he can and will get rid of all the residual players from the Wenger era, certainly. So we're looking at Xhaka, we're looking at Bellerin. I don't think he'll get rid of Aubameyang and Lacazette, but I think if he can get Xhaka out and if he can get Bellerin out,
Kolasinac.
and Kolasinac as well. I mean, who else left from the Wenger era? Certainly, who else is still there? Okay, Holding was there as well. But
Holding and Chambers, those kinds of players, yeah.
Yeah, but I think if he can get, okay, so maybe not all, but I think if he can get 2 or 3 of the Wenger era players out, that would be a success. Regarding the signings that we've made, I'm not going to lie, I don't know too much about either of the players. Is it Lukonga?
Lukonga, yep, from Anderlecht.
I know a bit more about him. And he looks like a good player. But you know what, Sophie? I'm kind of done with preempting how someone might do. Because I did that with Torreira. When we signed Torreira, it was during the World Cup, I remember. And I was so excited about signing Torreira. And for whatever reason, it just didn't work out. And I can't get my hopes up excited about, oh, this guy's going to be really, really good because so-and-so recommends him. I'm just going to watch the season play out, and whoever does well, does well. Whoever does poorly, does poorly. I think it's dangerous to kind of say this guy's going to do well because he had a decent record last year, because we've brought in players that have been really good at previous clubs and they've bombed. So I'm not really going to put too much emphasis on how well a player would do, especially as I don't really know them that well anyway.
Right. You know, it's a great point. Every signing, Jordan, is a risk. And we've seen big names come and or sign for teams moving through the Premier League, like a Fernando Torres, who was a star at Liverpool, failed at Chelsea. Shevchenko, you know, one of the most exquisite strikers of our time. You know, there are many Verons, you know, one Sebastian Veron.
He's the biggest example, I'd say, yeah.
You know, there's so many. And so to get excited about these new players, yes, let's be excited about the fact that we've signed new energy coming into the team and maybe they'll be able to offer something. But certainly agree with you. Until they put on that shirt and they have to play under the lights for the Arsenal, we're not going to know.
We're not. Sorry to cut you, but another thing as well that I think is important to note is that I think Arsenal, it seems like, are employing a strategy that I've been asking for a couple of years, which is this. For those in the UK, they'll understand this, but we're not shopping at Waitrose anymore. We're not shopping in Selfridges anymore. We're not shopping at the highbrow, supermarket of players anymore. I think we have to accept now that in terms of our strategy of signing players, what we should be doing is approaching players in that kind of middle tier of European teams and saying, look, join us, give us 2 good seasons, and we'll let you go to a Barca, to a Bayern, to a Man U, to a Chelsea. We have to accept now that we're not in that top table anymore. We have to humble ourselves. West Ham have done it for a few years. I mean, they're a smaller club, but I think we're not far off that bracket now of we can't now attract the big name players. That doesn't mean you can't attract good players. So I think we have to be in that kind of really, who does it really well? Dortmund do it very well. Yes. Buy cheap, sell high. Napoli do it well. Benfica do it well. I think we're in that bracket. Ajax do it well. And I think if you sign players that you accept may leave you in 2 years' time, give us 2 really good years, get us back into the top 4, and we'll let you go for a profit to the big club you want to go to. We can no longer expect to be buying the best players and keeping them because we're not that club anymore. What
do you say to Lone Star Londoner who says, really, we just spent 50 million on Ben White? Benny, we're calling him Benny already, are you, Lone Star? I think my 2 cents is once you've stayed at the 4 seasons, it's really hard to stay at the roadside motel, you know, and I believe if our owner wanted to put his hands in his pocket, we could be in for all of these players, but that's not the world that we live in. Jordan, the toughest thing for me is that we've been able to attract players without Champions League football because we could offer Europa League football, still European football, and a vehicle back into Europe. Aubameyang, Partey, Gabriel, Lacazette, Pepe. We never had Champions League football when we signed these players. So what do you say to Lone Star? Because we're showing like we're going to spend 50 on Benny, but maybe he's the marquee sign. He's the Cazorla, Ozil, Sanchez, one summer marquee signing the club make.
Maybe he is, and I don't think we should turn our noses up at the fact that he's come from Brighton. He's not a household name. He's put an example for me of kind of what I'm talking about. Okay, maybe it's a little bit more than I mean, but if he can give us 2 fantastic seasons and be one of the best centre-backs, one of the top 3 centre-backs in the country in 2 years' time, we might have to accept that he then might want to move on to a bigger club than us, a Man City that are winning titles, a Liverpool or a Man United or a Chelsea. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. But because our strategy in the transfer market has been so poor for so long, I think we have to maybe humble ourselves. And you make the point about, when you're dining at, or when you're visiting and staying at a certain brand of hotels, it's hard to kind of go down to a Premier Inn. But our card is declining because we can't afford to be in that hotel anymore. So we have to understand now that, that's not where we're not in that market anymore. And we can buy, Stan Kroenke can spend 50 million, 80 million on players here, but I don't think it's so much about the name of the player or the cost. I think it's about getting the right player. And if that player costs 7.5 million, so be it. If it costs 50 million, 50 million. If Ben White costs 7.5 million, I don't care. I more care about getting the right players.
I agree with you.
Right players? I
agree with you. Look, Leicester City, when they won the league, of course, Jamie Vardy, they had, they had Mahrez, they had a nice little core, but they won that league without superstars. Mahrez is now a bigger star. He's at City because he's done it all over again there. But they were able to do that with a really good manager who had a formula that worked. And I think that Arteta definitely has a formula, and I hope he succeeds. I really do. I've given him a lot of stick over the last, where it's been warranted, like the semi-final in the Europa League. He went all pep on us. He square peg round holes, Xhaka left back. I mean, I feel like that we could have won that tournament. It was there for the taking. We were the better team. There's breaking news, Jordan. I'd love your take on this. Apparently, the Arsenal tour of the US has been cancelled due to COVID and numbers rising for COVID. I don't know if you're aware, here in the United States, the numbers for the Delta variant are definitely rising. And it sounds like, can you guys, squaddies, just confirm this for me? A few of you have put it in here, breaking news from Bleacher Report, but it seems like the tour of the US is officially cancelled. It's not a surprise, is it?
No, it's not. I mean, there's also, we're hearing more and more news about athletes in Tokyo for the Olympics. That, the numbers, I think there are 10 now that have got COVID. It's not a surprise. I don't care how much money you spend on putting these athletes in a bubble and how often you test them. If you put them in large groups, there's always going to be the risk that this is going to happen. It's gutting for you because you're in America, but I don't think it's actually the worst news in the world for Arsenal. I think it's a case of, you know what? Okay, if it's been cancelled, just have your preseason here in the UK. Yeah. It's not great for the Americans and for commercial deals, of course, but I don't see that in terms of the footballing angle of things as the worst thing in the world.
Yeah, here's the thing that worries me the most is when you've just had 300,000 plus people at Silverstone, you've had Wimbledon, you've got the horse racing, you've got this happening now. Inter Milan pulled out. It was inevitable after Inter were rumored to be pulling out that Arsenal would also, Jordan. And like going back into stadiums next season, I'm hearing COVID passport type stuff. It just feels like maybe they're not quite ready to go full capacity for next season. How do you see that going?
I agree. It feels like they're kind of going full force. There's rumors over here in the UK about, they've denied it, the government, but there's rumors that, we might be requiring fans to go into sporting events to have passports. They're denying that, but as far as I'm concerned, they've confirmed already that they're expecting now ravers and people going to parties and clubs to have passports. So for me, the next natural step is other other big events, even cinemas, bowling alleys, football stadiums. Why would you have it for clubs but not for football grounds? So they can deny it all they want. But it feels to me like we're going into a situation now where you're going to need a jab, you're going to need a passport to get into anything on that has mass people.
Yeah, I think you should send a note to Mikel and say, I've got my boys ready to scrimmage.
Yeah, sure. That's not a bad idea, actually.
I mean, he's going to need to find some games now, isn't he? Maybe they should play the under-23s. I don't know. But this does throw a wrench in the plan. And one of the things I do like about preseason, Jordan, is getting as many of the players together as possible, the new ones coming in as well. I don't like this idea of playing the shop window stuff. Come on, people have seen Kolasinac. They know what he's about. People have seen Willian. They know what he's about. I think he should be formulating the team as much as possible because we cannot afford, like you said, he's got 10 games in your opinion. If we get off to a negative start, the toxicity is going to be really, really gut-wrenching, to be honest with you.
I hear the logic behind what you're saying there. I guess the counter to that would be that he also has to prepare. Because I asked that question to Cascarino on the radio on Sunday. I said to him, what's the logic in playing players that you know full well you don't want here next season? And what his answer was, and I kind of take his point, he's got to be thinking, Arteta, that whoever's here right now is going to be here come game one. Whether they are or not is a different discussion. But he's got to prepare as if everybody that's an Arsenal player right now, even Xhaka, who we know will be gone, he has to get them ready for the new season. In the event that they don't leave, he can't have the likes of Kolasinac, Xhaka, Eddie Nketiah significantly behind in not only their fitness, but understanding about what it is he wants to do. He has to have all those players up to speed. If he loses them the week before the season starts and they transfer away, then cool, nothing's been lost. But Casper's point was that he can't afford to say, well, you're probably going to be going in a couple of weeks, so let me park you. I think you only really do that if it's a player that's of high value. So if it's a player that you know you're looking to get £80 million for, you're like, nah, maybe I don't risk you in this preseason game against Oxford. You know what I mean? On a Tuesday night. But other than that, I think the thinking is, if you're an Arsenal player today, you're an Arsenal player today. And I have to think you're going to be an Arsenal player come game one.
Right. And if there's anything that the fans, I know there's some fans that are just fools and abuse players and all that type of stuff. But I think like most sensible fans, if you put the shirt on, we love you. We're going to root for you. There was every week I was like, come on, Willian, be the hero in the North London derby. You know, be the hero in the cup. I mean, I was just dying for him to work out. And I think all of us who really love the club do. And tell me, with all the stuff that's going on and everyone kind of being a little bit negative and we're apprehensive. This is the Arsenal way, right? That's how we've been conditioned over the last few years. What excites you about next season, Jordan?
That's a good question. Well, what excites me about next season is the same thing that saddens me, and that's fans returning. That's fans returning. I'm not going to lie, Sophie. I purposely missed so many games last season, Arsenal and otherwise, because I just couldn't enjoy a football game without fans. And some people kind of got over it eventually and almost got used to it. I can't. For me, fans in the stadium is, I would say, as my personal guesstimation, 60%, maybe more, of the overall spectacle of what I enjoy about football games. Take away the fans, the very sanitized, very flat spectacle. Yeah, there could be a great football game going on, but the fans add something that I think can't be replaced. The fans being back in the ground is something that I've missed. But equally, the reason why I say I'm saddened by it is because I know that we have this issue of not only negativity, but that exacerbates itself through racism and sexism and homophobia and the Arsenal fan base. And to be fair, I'll hold my hands up, I might have at times contributed to this as well. The Arsenal fan base are really hard on their club. And I get it. We pay the most amount of money in the world to see our team play. We're not expecting Premier Leagues every season. We're expecting effort. We're expecting a plan. We're expecting, glimmers of hope. And again, teams of lower leagues will say, well, you've had like 8 FA Cups in the last 10 years, mate. Like, that's not too bad. But I think we are a hard fan base on our club. I definitely am. And I think that kind of perpetuates itself in a negativity that I think creates this game one against Brentford. We'll all be like, yay, up for it. But Sophie, it doesn't take long before the Arsenal fan base return. If 2 or 3 results don't go our way, we know what's coming. And
I know.
That's why the fans returning is, for me, the best thing about the new season, but also the worst thing about the new season.
Yeah, I agree. And Jean-René, I'm with you here. We hope to see Arteta and the team bounce back and prove the process is truly working. when we've achieved so much and we've been perennial winners and we've just always been competitive, even when we haven't won, right? Missing out to United in the Premier League so often, but yet winning it, going invincible, FA Cups, the most decorated team, you know, in that tournament. I think the one thing I'm excited about next season is seeing the evolution, the continual evolution of ESR and Saka, right? I don't think there's been someone to root for homegrown since Jack Wilshere, like the two of them. You know, Jack was a player that we loved and adored. He was the type of player that we all rooted for. And Saka and ESR have kind of brought that vibe back. They've brought that love for, you know, really developing talent. Are you so excited to see what they do and how their journey continues? For me, that's like the biggest thing. And Saka made us all proud, of course, at the Euros. So
I'm so with you, and I so agree with that. I am excited by what Saka and ESR, as we're now calling him, can do this season. But my concern, and I don't want to kind of just flatten the point, my fear is, and you mentioned Jack Wilshere is a good example, the reason why a lot of our young players who've been talented over the last 10 years, the Walcotts, the Kieran Gibbs, the Chesneys, the Wilsheres, Ramsey to a lesser degree, the reason why I think that those players didn't work out at Arsenal, you might say injuries, but for me, it's because they were thrown into the deep end without any senior support. And my fear is, especially Jack Wilshere in the middle of the pitch, when you are an 18, 19-year-old boy and you're playing 25 out of 38 games a season, the responsibility is so vast on you at a time when the club's not doing well anyway. Yeah, it's stunting your development, and it's stunted his development. We did it to Fabregas too. We did. Well, there was still a few different seniors, vibe. And we weren't awful then. Although the senior players maybe had left by then. Vieira had gone, Bergkamp had gone. Henry, was he still there? Was Henry there? I think Henry was still there. But yeah, but at least we were still a big club. We were a biggish club then. Whereas now, my fear is that we're going to there's so much responsibility on Saka and Emile Smith-Rowe. There's no senior quality around them so that they're not we should be relying on Saka. Saka should be coming off the bench after 70 minutes and scoring 2 goals when we're 2-0 up already. ESR should be coming off the bench on 60 minutes and getting 2 assists and a goal, and we win 4-1. Those guys shouldn't be starting the game and us talking about a preview saying, well, Saka's got to do that. They're babies, they're kids. They're kids. And my fear is that we're going to lose that generation again if we don't surround them with senior players that can really carry the team, and Saka be the sprinkling of quality. ESR be the sprinkling of quality that actually adds to it, rather than we're expecting them to be. Because in the middle of the park where Emile Smith-Rowe plays, for sure, that's the hardest part to play for me. And if you're 19 and you're scared of losing a game because your team isn't doing very well anyway, you instinctively pass backwards, you pass sideways, you take less risks. Yeah, Kev mentioned that all season. He's like, look at us, we're relying on kids to bail us out. We're relying on them to kind of lead the way, and God bless them, they did, you know. With the help of some other players, of course. Tierney's I want to ask you about Tierney a little bit as well. Before I do too. I think we all love him. Again, he feels like one of our own. It feels like he came out the Halen, this kid. He's unbelievable. What do you think about him next season? I just pray that he stays fit for the season. So I remember saying to a few friends of mine in the WhatsApp group that I was in, an Arsenal WhatsApp group, this was a year ago now. This was the start of last season. I said to my friends, I would sell Tierney, I'd cash in on him. And they all were like, what? And I was like, the reason why I would sell him, I've changed my mind now, but the reason why I said I would sell him was because I think he's probably our best player. I think he's probably our best player. And I thought to myself, you can't have your best player that can only play 10 games in a row. Tierney clearly can't play 10 games in a row. For whatever reasons, he can't. And I think, especially if you're a left back, it's concerning to me that your left back, your first choice left back, can't play 10 games in a row. However, the reason why I changed my mind on that is because those 10 games he plays are so good, I'll sacrifice the next 10 games that he probably misses. Do you know what I mean? And I'm a person that I've always been of the belief, so if I don't care how good you are, if you can't get on the pitch, it counts for nothing.
Absolutely.
Unless you're Messi, unless you're like, you can. There's very few players I think can get away with being injury prone and persistent with them. And I think, not to put Tierney in the bracket of Messi, although I kind of am, I think Tierney's in that group of players that I think when he does play, he's so good, you can kind of swallow the 10 games you know he's going to miss.
Right. Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. This is, as bad as, some fans think Xhaka has been, his durability in the Premier League is insane, and you want that for all of your players, but unfortunately that's absolutely not possible. Before I let you go, unless you want to say a quick hello to DJ Tony Perry, who's waiting in the house to come on and say hi. What's your biggest fear for next season?
My biggest fear is Arteta not learning lessons. Like I said, I'm an Arteta fan, and people always say, "Why? What's he showing you?" I've seen in glimpses. There's a good manager in there. I've seen a naive manager and an inexperienced manager, which he is. He's only been managing a couple of years. My biggest fear is that he won't learn lessons from last year. My biggest fear that he may let stubbornness prevent him from playing certain players that I think should be playing and have right to be playing. My biggest fear is that he won't learn lessons from big games where he's got it wrong. I think he's got a lot of big games right, but I think he's got a lot of big games formation-wise, strategy-wise wrong. That is my biggest fear, because I think, like I said, I'm his biggest fan, Sophie, his biggest fan. But if he doesn't start the season well, because I think this year he'll have no excuses. He'll have no excuses now. If he doesn't start the season well, I will be calling for him to go. Because as much as I'm a fan of his, he's not my friend. There's no emotional investment in Arteta for me. I believe him. I think he's a good manager. It could be a good manager. But if you're not good enough, I'm sorry, get the next guy in. Yeah. So my biggest fear would be that he doesn't learn lessons from last season.
Yeah. I hope Antonio Conte stays free until around October, November. But also we want him to work out. Okay, let's bring in our next guest. Jordan, if you want to hang out for a couple minutes, you can ask DJ Tony Perry a couple questions. He's coming off an incredible experience at the Euros. The Wembley man, the Wembley music man, who brought the nation to its feet. Welcome back to the big show, my brother from another mother, Mr. DJ Tony Perry in the house. Whoa!
What is happening? I need that intro for my next mixtape. So if you're looking well, Jordan, nice to see you, man.
How you doing, brother? You well?
Great. I'm doing good. I'm agreeing with a lot of what you're saying.
I have one question. It's England related, not Arsenal related.
No, I love it. Let's go. I want to hear everything about his whole experience.
I've just got one, and then I've got to run. But was it me? I was at Wembley, but I wasn't in Wembley for the final. Was it just me, or did it feel like the fans didn't fully play their part in making that place a cauldron is maybe a bit of a stretch, but an environment where England fans felt from minute 1 to minute 120 there was a clear advantage in fan. I feel we missed a trick in having pretty much the whole stadium to ourselves and our fans. But watching it on TV, it didn't feel like it was like that. It didn't feel we took advantage of that. Or is that how it is? Is that wrong, or was it different being inside there? Am I being unfair?
No, it's an interesting point, and in a short answer, I'd kind of agree with what you're saying. My role was strictly neutral, so whilst I'm clearly a massive England fan and was doing a lot of things I'll tell you about to try and work it in our favour, I was neutral, and UEFA were very conscious of that. But I would simply say, if I'm being really honest, the quarterfinal and semi-final were electric, but it was what was happening outside of the ground that made it feel, I couldn't understand why it felt different. Okay. And I couldn't see it, but I was getting text messages from my family, from mates like, "Are you going outside the ground? Have you seen what's going on?" So
I was outside when it was happening live.
That's what affected the whole vibe. If I'm really honest, I'm sure we'll touch on that in a bit, but it 100% was a different atmosphere in the final compared to. But there were more away fans as well. I've got to say, the Italians were phenomenal. So, and I had them right in my ear. I was stationed right in front of them. It was bonkers.
It was still 8-2 though.
That's true. That's true.
I think that for me, the best atmosphere of any game was when we beat Germany. It felt like that was not that we peaked. Tony, I can't even imagine what it felt like for you, but that was the moment everything kind of went viral as well.
Yeah, it was. That was the game where like my hair stand on then even thinking about it, because walking around the ground before, it's similar to the Arsenal mentality. It was like, yeah, we're not going to win. Like, it's been a great tournament. We'll enjoy the rest of it. I was like, guys, I even said, we're going to win 2-0. Why can't we win as England? We've got all these young, excellent players. And when we did win, it was like that, oh my God, we've beaten Germany. Maybe we can believe. And it was like, it was a surprise, if you know what I mean. Mm-hmm. And there was a togetherness that I felt at that time, and at least from where I sat. And that was my favourite game, Soph, as well. I'd agree.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Jordan, we're going to let you go. Yeah.
I've got to run.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
I'm so sorry.
No.
Thank you for inviting me on again. I love coming on your show.
Yeah.
Anytime. Just hit me up.
Awesome. And we'll get you back once the season kicks in. After 10 games, we're going to have another conversation. All right. With Super Kev. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Okay. And good luck tomorrow with the spacesuit. Can't wait to hear
Thank you very much. Thank you. Cheers, Tony. Nice one. Take care, guys.
Take care, mate. Bye-bye. So, Tony, let's get stuck in, because the squaddies, we've been following you. We've been talking about you a lot on the show. I mean, moments like this, you've done a lot of incredible things in your career, and you have the event gene in your body. Your grandfather, who was just the coolest dude in town. If I had a picture of him right now, I'd put it on. White tuxedo jacket, the bow tie. The cigar, absolute legend. And then that followed through with your parents and you, and now you're really fulfilling your passion. I mean, you've done interviews with the Mirror, the Guardian, Sky Sports, the New York Times, everything. No. I mean, wow. How are you feeling coming off it all? And what an amazing ride it's been the last, six weeks for you.
It's unbelievable, Sophie. And even you saying it there makes you kind of think, did all that happen? All your lovely words there. It was, I'll be honest, after the final, it was a case of picking ourselves up off the floor, because we were hurting because we lost, and also that it was over, because the team of people that I worked with were magic. And alluding back to what Jordan said, I think the most, as a football fan as well, seeing the fans return gradually throughout the tournament, like you said, you realise they are so important. It was incredible to see that. It was time of my career for sure.
We'll ask him that at the end, Demsek. Don't let me forget that, because I, as first and foremost, as well as being an awesome DJ who lit up the world for a few weeks at Wembley, he is a gooner. And let me tell you, not only is a gooner, he's a proper gooner. I mean, look at this. I've been on your Facebook page.
Go on, Steve. That's amazing.
I mean, you and Ian, right. That kid, I love that. I mean, for you to be a fan as well, and you've watched Arsenal you've been to pretty much every FA Cup final. Your mum, your dad, they're all massive gooners as well. But to go to Wembley and work it the way you did and be a fan too, I mean, that must have been an incredible feeling.
Yeah, it was something that you can't even fantasize about, because as a DJ and a football fan, unless you're a player, how are you gonna like stand there and do all of that? But it was a phenomenal experience. And yeah, that picture, I'm seeing what the guys are saying. Tell me about that photo. That was Millwall away. Would you believe it, right?
God.
I swear to you. So mum and dad are like...
Your parents are nuts, man.
They're nuts, right? We got heckled. I was on the team bus, as you were back then, on one of them. And they broke the windows. They were throwing fireworks at us. And my dad's like, what's going on? My uncle was there like, come on, bring it on. And we drew 0-0. And I remember I was gutted because Tony Adams wasn't there. And he was my idol after Righty. And then we lost the bloody replay. We lost the replay at Highbury.
So that was the picture I was trying to find. How was it taking your pick? And I think you've met Tony before, but did he ask to take a picture with you?
So what happened is the whole story. So during the pandemic, I went from being a DJ out in the real world to DJing down my laptop, which you were supporting as well. And Tony Adams was mentoring a goalkeeper who played for Arsenal a few years ago. Mm-hmm. And basically the goalkeeper said to him, Tony Adams, jump in my mate's Instagram live. He's DJing. So I'm DJing away. I had a wig on. I was doing this whole funky disco set. This is back in about last April. And he's like, Tony Adams has entered the chat. I went, you bloody what? Tony Adams is on my Instagram. And it went from there. So his sons are kept in touch. And when he turned up at Wembley, because the previous week we had John Terry, I was like, hi. And then it was Big Tone. I was like, oh my God, it's Big Tone. And it was, I mean, there were so many magic things that happened at the Euros like that as well. Just so many things I can tell you about. It was brilliant. That was really nice.
I mean, they were all talking about you, the England team, players. It's crazy. I have a feeling you're going to get some work DJing for some of these players going forward.
So.
Yeah,
I hope so. You can be my PR guru because I know you smashed that.
Well, the squaddies are asking. There's a few of them saying, "Hey, are you doing private parties, birthday parties?" You know, and I'm like, "Don't worry, I'll give them your digit, not your personal digits, but you can definitely reach out to Tony on Instagram and stuff like that." And Tony Adams, he does like his disco. Kevin Campbell's told us some funny stories about their dancing and stuff like that. Yeah, really awesome stuff. He says hello, by the way. He's very proud of you as well and thinks that you just smashed it and did a great job. What was your favorite part of the tournament? You mentioned it was so interesting because it came across even over the airwaves here, like the atmosphere. You helped build that atmosphere. The difference between the non-crowds, like you said, and then the building to kind of allowing, you know, more fans in. But what was your favorite part of the tournament?
I do think there's a couple things that stick in my mind. I've got to mention the Scottish fans who are brilliant because we were still, I think we were only on 20,000 capacity when they turned up. But I'm friends with the Hampden Park DJ, Keith Easton, who's a legend. And we had a whole chat. He was like, "You got to play Baccara. Yes, sir, I can boogie." Sorry about my dodgy accent. So I played Baccara. Yes, sir, I can boogie, which is their anthem. I don't know if the squaddies know the story behind why that became Scotland's anthem. Long story short, when they were in qualifying, so the story goes, someone came on and scored a penalty for them, and he'd recently had a stag do, and they were all pictured dancing randomly to Baccara. Yes, sir, I can boogie.
Great.
So when he came on and scored, Keith and his brother said, "We're going to play the track," and they played it. There were no fans in the stadium, and it caught on, and that became their anthem. So it's a funny story in the same way we've got Sweet Caroline. So them singing that was great. I know they enjoyed it because they threw cheeseburgers at me and my friend Chris Temple, who's the voice at Wembley. So the Scotland fans were pelting us with these cheeseburgers. We're like, "This is great." and then for me, like you said, the two moments, Germany, when I first played Sweet Caroline on a personal note,
wow,
and the capacity was up, and you heard the roar, and I'm DJing with headphones, in-ear monitors, and the guys are going, "Oh my God, it's going off." And you couldn't see, but behind the mic, behind my mask, I was kind of like, "Wow, what is going on?" And then that was when after the game, we played 3 lines because we beat Germany. And they were like, "You're going to play Vindaloo?" I was like, "Nah, mate, I'm playing Sweet Caroline before we do anything else." And that's when you had the players, like, I was almost in tears. It was so fantastic.
I mean, in the interviews too, and I know that's when it really kicked off for you, but to hear like Harry Kane speaking and he stops because of what's going on, you know, in the stadium, and then having the players and then seeing the players in Mykonos, doing the whole Sweet Caroline thing and Kyle Walker going for it and stuff like that. It's just going to be something that people never, ever forget. You are ingrained in a part of, you know, popular culture now, which is an insane thought, isn't it? Really?
It's crazy. It's nice that you put it like that. And I'm actually proud after, not just for me, but for all DJs, right? Because you and me have talked about this before as well. US sports are light years ahead of football, even though football's the biggest sport in the world, because music doesn't play enough of a role. Fans aren't in the stadium long enough, and it's like, just have a playlist. But, you know, myself and the other DJs across Europe, you have a direct hand on creating moments. Oh, look at that picture, moments like that. I mean, also, as another reference point, it was really tense when we were beating Denmark in the quarterfinal. And the fans, you could see they were nail biting. And whilst I'm neutral, I was like, you know what? If we can get them all to start chanting and jumping up and down, the players are going to hear that and feel the nervous energy break. So I played Gala Free from Desire, and the stands, I was pointing at them, I was like, get up. They all started bouncing. And then when we went to penalties, Italy, Spain, because all the songs are pre-approved, right? You can't stray from UEFA's playlist. So what I had to do over the course of the 8 games was win their trust and be like, guys, trust me. Like, I am as much of a football fan as we all are. I know what we can do. I can keep it clean. But I played Eminem, Lose Yourself, when... I love
that song. My workout song.
It's like penalties. I'm like, let's play that. And it was just phenomenal to show on behalf of all DJs the impact you can have, because it's not just me, it's the other guys too, and the team I worked with. You have a direct hand on controlling an atmosphere. Whether, unfortunately, when there was trouble, we diffused it because I played Atomic Kitten instead of another record that was due to be played. No one's going to be punching each other to Atomic Kitten, I don't think. So Yeah,
that was an interesting choice. A popular song in England, of course, Atomic Kitten, and there's a couple of squaddies who want to ask a few questions.
Yeah.
One was, did you play London Calling? If not, why not? There's so much going on in chat right now. You guys, the COVID conversation, let it go.
Yeah, that's not going to leave us, is it?
No, not at all.
I did play London Calling, definitely.
Okay. Yeah.
Had to be done.
Yeah, had to be done. And then the other one was, did you think of Katy Perry's Fireworks?
I didn't play that, I'll be honest. It wasn't on the list, but it's a good shout. I had someone else message, why don't you play Lady Gaga on the Edge of Glory when England beat?
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was good. But I think it was more like you've got to cater for the football audience as well. So it was kind of towing the line between what's a fan track and what's appropriate.
So let's talk about, and you're right, Taib, hit the smash likes up. What a show tonight. Two fantastic guests, Jordan and DJ Tony Perry, two of our favorites here at the Highbury squad. I want to now get your take on, you're also still a football fan. So you're watching the game when you're not playing, or are you planning what's happening next? How much of the games were you able to kind of digest while you were at the stadium?
Very good point. To be honest, I did manage to catch more and more of the games as the tournament went on. Mm-hmm. But in a short answer, that it was actually really demanding to DJ because you turn up 8 hours before kickoff. Wow. You're starting really early and you're having to prepare. Physically, it was ridiculously demanding. But no, I did catch a lot of the games and so much of the atmosphere as well. Okay, so I have to ask you this. And actually, I think it was Demsek that sent the question earlier. When Saka turned up to take the last penalty, were you shocked like most of us? Yeah, I was a bit like, I didn't understand when there were senior players there who have got just a couple more years experience to own that situation. I think Saka is someone, I'm much older than him, but I look up to him for his character. But I was very surprised by the call. Rashford was the one that baffled me because United lost the penalty shootout, right, in the UEFA Cup final as well. So that was Rashford's last kind of hurrah of the season. So he's come off of a penalty loss. You got Sancho, who hasn't featured much. I do think he got that wrong, but I'm going to back Gareth all the way because I think he's building a special bit of history that will come. I agree with you. I think he managed the tournament very well throughout when we all questioned him at times. But, like we've questioned Arteta, Gareth Southgate actually delivered in the big game. He just couldn't deliver in the biggest game. And I think partly because we just faced a better team. Italy better coached in the end. A little bit like the Europa League final, I found it, Tony. Unai Emery is just a more seasoned coach. He's won it 3 times before. He knew what to do in those 2 legs to win that game, to win those games against a novice like Arteta. It's very different being a number 2 to a legendary coach like Pep and managing your own team and getting to that point. And hopefully, like Jordan said earlier, he will learn from those lessons. And if we see no learnings from that, then you can start asking questions. But it was really weird, though, that he bought Sancho on and Rashford, who now we know was carrying a major injury. Yeah. I just felt like in the moment where he needed to show that he's really got a grip of this sense of being in a final, and 55 years at home at Wembley, how much did the gas go out of that? The gas was like, what was that like? That couldn't have been pleasant at all. It was like, as soon as it went to penalties, you just had the feeling because the momentum was so good before that. And like you said, when he selected who he selected, and, we saved 2 penalties, right? If I'm getting Jordan Pickford was fantastic. Well, you lose a shootout doing that. But the spin I want to put on it, though, is because I see something in Southgate and he's starting to own the situation, right? And like you said, you've got to review these things and learn from your mistakes. For me, we've progressed through the tournaments. We didn't lose in normal time in the tournament, right? We didn't concede for up until Italy, right? From open play. Yeah. I think a couple of things. I think it's clear that we're not conceding because he's employed in effect 2 more holding defensive midfielders in effect. We need to unshackle ourselves because it's kind of what Arsenal did. We weren't conceding many goals, but we were doing nothing up top. And I think Southgate needs to get an attacking coach in to see, or a tactics coach, when can we throw this massive weaponry of young kids we've got going forward. I think Jude Bellingham will feature in Qatar and he's going to be one of the greatest players of his generation. You can just see it. And I think we will progress. I actually think potentially in Qatar, I know it's going to be hot, but not having, sorry to say, the hooligan element there might help.
So hey, Martin, yeah, he did win the FA Cup. I'm talking about like a European trophy, that final, not the FA Cup, you know. And he got a little head start on that too, the season he won it, right? But he still won it. That's all true. Talk to me about that, because everyone, it's a hot topic. They're all trying to figure out what happened. People are pointing the fingers at everything. The atmosphere, you said, was different. You didn't feel it, though. You didn't know what was going on outside the stadium and what was happening. What was your experience whilst you were there versus what you saw afterwards when you read or saw the news and stuff like that, Tony?
Yeah, it was definitely, you could just feel that there was like an edge was missing. So in the previous games, we've done the show so many times. We knew what to play. We had a direct hand on the atmosphere, and it just wasn't quite hitting the same point for me anyway. That's, of course, maybe because you've got the incredible show that they had and all these other bits and pieces, but you could just feel something was amiss. And, you know, the sad fact is, as a country, we've got the best infrastructure in the world to host a tournament, so much so that we are the plan B for everything when it needs to have a plan B for World Cups, for Euros. But now the chances of us getting a World Cup, I'm really intrigued to see what the FA, and I want to work with them as well on this, what we're going to do over the next couple of years to kind of win back that trust. Because we were let down by a minority. And unfortunately, I got to see how the rest of Europe, because the people I'm working with were Italians, there were Germans, there were Spanish, and there were event producers from all over the world. And I'm like, why do they think of us in this way? Because I'm a born Londoner, and you know, obviously I haven't experienced racism directly myself, but I like to think, and I ask my friends of different backgrounds, we are a more accepting city than most other places, right? And they're like, yeah, we are. There's still things that you would never know about, but we've let ourselves down because now the rest of the world doesn't see that so much. And I really desperately want us to show what we're really about.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And everything that happened afterwards was just a disgrace. And I loved seeing, did you see Jason Sudeikis at the Ted Lasso premiere wearing
amazing?
Oh my gosh, I love him. I want to be his friend. We've got to get Ted Lasso on this show.
I think you'd be a perfect fit together actually on the show.
My God, I'm gonna make that happen. I will try and make that happen. So let me I wanted to put this up from Think Football for you. I noticed England played music in extra time in the interval. Did this happen at all games with extra time? I thought it was used as a psychological advantage to get the fans behind England. What's your answer to that one?
It's a very good question. So I have to, because I'm in the process of hopefully doing more with UEFA, I have to keep saying what I've got to say, that I was neutral. But, you know, I won't lie that definitely we picked songs at certain times to control the atmosphere. So, yeah, I did play Gala Freed from Desire. The Danes were singing it as well, because that was in the quarterfinal. They were singing it too. But at that time, I could have played like a filler track that everyone's just going to stand to. But the video show, if you jump on my Insta, you'll see it. The stands were just like bouncing. And I also think, as well as it being about England, it was about all fans being back in a stadium. We've all missed it so much. And they all were fantastic sports at that point. So, yeah, it wasn't so much of a psychological advantage. I've seen what's been said that England, there won't be a tournament like this again because it favours certain teams. I don't necessarily agree with that because, you know, France won the World Cup in 98. We won it in 66. There's Uruguay did, I think, in the first or second World Cup. That's part of football. And we deserve a World Cup. We've just got to earn the right to host it.
Yeah, no, completely agree with you. All right. So what do we not know about the Euros that you experience? Like if there's a little nugget, you know, that we need to know about, or what, you know, just kind of in a nutshell, you know, what's your overall, give us an anecdote that we maybe don't know about.
I think without giving too much away, we have to, and this is why I was so gutted about the final, we have to appreciate when these games come to us because there's ever more chances now that we won't get them. And it might have even been the case during the tournament itself. So we need to behave, embrace it. From a strategic point of view, we need to do everything we can to make sure the fans get the best experience because football can move so quickly now. There are stadiums all over the world that can accommodate fans at the drop of a hat, not just us. So, yeah, we need to appreciate what we've got whilst we've got it is my point, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. I have to ask you this because a few people have. Instead of Sweet Caroline, couldn't you find a more appropriate UK? Kev loves all the good and bad questions. This is a good question, but you know what I mean? It's not up your ass, you know what I'm saying? So yeah.
It's a good one. So it's a good question. Before the tournament, we were given the tracks, right? So I had to suggest a couple as a football fan and a DJ for 20 years, what would work. And I could have played Oasis at that time. I could have played, I don't know, something more modern. I really wanted to play Don't Look Back in Anger because I just can hear a whole crowd singing it, and that hasn't been done so much. But Sweet Caroline is a song of the people, and it's been popular with cricket. It's been popular with, I DJed for the Major League Baseball, the Red Sox and Yankees when they came over. That's where I saw the powers of it. And by definition, my role, as I keep saying, was neutral. So it was a track that worked for both sets of teams. I'll also say I love Vindaloo as a song, but it's a little bit...
I don't like that at all. I hate it.
So it's a little bit like stick it up and all that kind of... And I'm like, look, that's going to have its moment, but I want a bit of unity. And you can't deny it because the best messages I've got, I had literally hundreds of messages, which was beautiful, were school kids singing it at their assemblies. They don't know about this Neil Diamond song from the 50s or 60s. So it's just a nice feel-good song.
Yeah.
It got to #2 in the iTunes chart in the UK.
It's crazy. You did that.
Yeah, I'm waiting for a call.
Have you had a thank you note from Neil Diamond yet?
So I haven't had a personal thank you, although I can reveal there are, I don't know whether or not it'll happen because I've just released my own music as well. There's a chance of doing a Christmas record, and the concept is getting the money for the NHS or our frontline workers and making it a Christmas #1 because all the kids are going to buy it. So let's do it.
Oh my God, I love that. That's perfect. I saw Neil Diamond at the Hollywood Bowl, and it was one of the most joyous occasions. There's a reason why I titled the show today Happy Talk, because there's been so much that we've all experienced over the last 16, 17 months. Humanity has endured on such a level, and football fans have, lost their, we lost our intravenous drip, whatever it is, however to word it, and seeing the fans back, seeing them so happy, and to be part of that at that moment, at that time, at home in England, in your home city of London, at Wembley Stadium, the home of football. I just cannot imagine like how much of a buzz that was. And I think buzz is maybe the best word to describe it.
It is. I mean, I used to, if anyone goes to, there's a red car park at Wembley, right? And if anyone goes there, I recommend you drive all the way up to the 8th floor because it's a rooftop and it overlooks the stadium. And I love the moment so much as like, I used to make cassette tapes before. When Arsenal won the double in 98, I made my own cassette using my dad's decks. I was a kid to compile the music. So it's always been a part of me. And realizing what was actually going down, I'd park on the roof of this car park. And after each game, I'd just sit there for 20 minutes and look at it and be like, take it all in, because you're so fortunate to have got to this stage. Just take it all in. And that's amazing. Why it snowballed like it did, because I just loved it so much.
How proud are mum and dad and your sister?
Oh, bless them. They're all amazing. They're actually like, because the stuff that's happened since has been bonkers. They're all encouraging me now. Like I'm getting, I was lucky to be a busy DJ before, but now the stuff coming up is just like, wow. Like, and that they're all for it, which is lovely. And you're another positive part of the message, Soph. I think a lot of the squaddies know you, but Soph's positive energy as like a big sis, she does it for a lot of people. I can certainly feel that from across the pond. So I appreciate it.
Well, you're amazing. I'm so proud of you. You've done such a brilliant job. The squaddies love you. They've seen you on the show a few times now. And I want to know what this kid thinks.
Oh, wow. You smashed it. So this is your life. There's a Greek boy in an Arsenal shirt.
Do you remember the old theme tune? Da, 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 da.
Yeah, literally. Oh, that's an amazing snap.
Amazing. So what's this kid's dream for the Arsenal this coming season, Tony? Talk us through that before we let you go.
So I think maybe like a lot of the squaddies tuned in as well, because this is uncharted territory. I'm an 80s baby, grew up with nothing but success, even in the drab years when he's FA Cups. I've removed all expectations, and I think that's going to keep me sane and enjoying it again. My hopes for this season is I want to see, it wasn't mentioned earlier, I want to see Aubameyang get his identity back and just get some magic back. But I've got my faith in the kids. I think we are putting a lot of pressure on them, but they are what Arsenal's about. Saka, I was shouting for him so much at Wembley.
Oh my gosh.
He's a Gooner. Smith Rowe's a Gooner. I think what they've done been getting a Lokonga, I think his name is, from his first interview. Yep. I was like, he's an Arsenal boy. Maybe we're Guendouzi, there were doubts. I was like, no, he's a good kid. And we need to get all of that back because, one day I want to have little gooners running around that were as privileged as I was to watch a team who is, for me, the reason why the Arsenal is because of its culture. It's by far the best culture of a club, in my opinion, in London, and we need to get it back.
Well, I know Mama and Papa Perry are going to want to make sure that you deliver a grandkid, sooner rather than later.
Definitely.
Oh my God. Absolutely love it. Let the squaddies know where they can find you and all that jazz.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. Squaddies, thank you. You'll see me ranting across the season. So it's at DJ Tony Perry on Instagram. I'm now on Spotify. I released my first single last week with my brother, Merrick Miller.
I forgot to talk about the single. I'm so excited about such an obsessed football person. Tell everyone about the single.
So we've remixed 2 songs from the early 90s. Sweet Harmony was a rave song that you'll recognize. And Rosala, Everybody's Free. So I made it as an edit, and out of the blue, yeah, exactly. I have a radio show. And the label owners called me up and he was like, send me that. And I was like, oh my God, he's going to do me for copyright. He's like, no, let's sign it. And we've had it resung. We've had the track made. And today we're talking about getting an official music video done. So yeah, it's at DJ Tony Perry. Message me. I'll send you some music. There's mixes. I've done a football mix. So when the season starts, I've got this 20-minute mix to get you pumped up when you're watching the game. And yeah, I'm a massive gooner as well. So I always love to talk about the Arsenal.
I love it. You're going to be on the show a little bit more next season too. We're going to tap into you and get you on the show and talk about our beautiful team. And we live in hope, and we all are all behind the boys, and just wish our club the best. And we certainly wish you the best. And you're right, Demsek. Everybody's Free is a banging song. Oh, he missed I'm sure he meant banging, not banging.
Banging.
Jan Ismore, he already gave his thoughts on the pen. You can rewind and listen, but basically, he felt shocked like everybody else when Saka stepped up. And again, we feel for our boy, and he's going to come back bigger, stronger, and better than ever. DJ Tony Perry, stay tuned. You guys have an announcement to make, but right now he is a total gooner. We're going to let our stop calling Yannis a malaka, you malakas. Thank you so much for joining. I've been dying to talk to you about your experience. It's absolutely top shelf. Keep us posted on all the stuff. Go buy the single, you guys. Go download it. Tony told you where you can find him. Thank you so much for joining the Highbury squad.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me. And love to all the gooners out there. We stick together.
Excellent. Take care, Tony. We'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely.
Bye, babe. DJ Tony Perry, Jordan Jarrett-Bryan. Did I not promise you that we would be back with a bang this season? Look at me. I'm sweating like swine here in California. Got no air conditioning right now. And I tell you, it is a bit hot under this hat. Okay. Thank you so much, Johnny Boy. I hope you guys have enjoyed the show this evening. If you thought tonight was top shelf, I tell you, let's give our little, we've got Tony's Twitter handle, DJ Tony Perry. You can find him there. Tony is definitely a gooner. Well said, Tony. Spin it again, DJ. Love it. Absolutely brilliant. Positive, beautiful thoughts for our boy. Woo, that was a belter. You want to hear the news? Okay, I have a big announcement to make, you guys. Thank you, Richard. I am sweating under it, though. I have to say, my straight hair is literally going curly. If you guys remember that episode of Friends with Monica when they went to the Caribbean and her hair was straight and then she came out and it was like, okay, so tomorrow night is going to be a show. Super Kevin Campbell returns. And our guest on tomorrow night's show. Sit down, everybody. You ready for this one? Jack Wilshere will be on the Highbury squad tomorrow night. You won't want to miss this. Jack Wilshere, what a player, what a story. We all love Jack, and we cannot wait for him to come on the show and have a chat with us. Thank you. Someone's still listening here. My boy DJ Tony Perry. Thanks to our good friend JJ Garcia, who you saw I announced, who's going to be co-hosting our stateside squad as well this season, this coming season. A phenomenal, guest for tomorrow. We can't wait here. We're so excited to have Jack on. He's just been an absolute treasure and just absolutely Wonderful of him to take time to come on the squad and talk to us. And imagine him and Super Kevin Campbell on the show together tomorrow night. Super Jack will be here at 8 o'clock. You won't want to miss it. Tell everyone you know. Tell every Gooner in town. Super Jack will be joining the Highbury squad tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Okay? Now, don't say we don't do nice things for you. And thank you, JJ Garcia, for helping us with that. JJ's a good friend of the show. You've probably seen JJ on the Top Shelf show, Total Bellas. He'll be on the Highbury squad a lot next season as well. So get ready with your questions. All right. You got to be on your best behavior, Newman, Taib, everybody. All right. You're going to get to ask Super Jack whatever you want. All right. It's going to be an amazing show and I can't wait for it. We're going to brook the neck if you misbehave, okay? But you guys are so good. I'm so proud of you. And we are so happy to bring Jack Wilshere to the Highbury squad. Okay, that's all I've got for tonight. Jordan Jarrett-Bryan, Channel 4 news reporter. Check him out online. He's got some fantastic stories. DJ Tony Perry, don't forget to go download his song. And please be sure to check in tomorrow, the Highbury squad with Jack Wilshere. Until then, squaddies. Good night.